it's me, your little goblin boy. And today I am going to go through and talk about these shelves behind me. I get comments every day of people saying they love my shelves, they look so great, and thank you, that means so much. If you want to know exactly what the shelf itself is, I'll have a link to the Amazon listing down below, but I would be lying if I didn't say yes, one of the many benefits of my job is I'm either required to often go out and buy many gorgeous, beautiful books, or they are gifted to me, and as a result, I'm very proud of my collection. I'm not gonna lie about that. I love it, and I'm gonna go through here today and tell you what I believe the best bang for your buck value for some of my favorite books that I have are. There's some that I think are overpriced that I'll still praise if I'll remark their price point, and there are some that I think are exceptional deals for what you get and how good they look on your shelf. I'm not gonna even discriminate between special editions and regular editions. This is just what books look awesome. We're going purely just subjective looking on the shelf here. So if you're a part of that snobbery, get it out! This is about what's gonna make your shelf hot. All right. But we're going to start with one dishonorable mention with a comparison here. What I want to show you is actually a fantastic book, Dune. This already might win best bang for your buck value because it's priced within like just a regular hardback, yet it is one of the most stunning covers on my shelf. I'm not even the biggest fan of Dune. I like it, but this cover is, everyone agrees. I've never heard anyone say just a banger. Except for Man Carrying Things. He said he hates this and it's the worst thing he's ever seen, so, you know, that's his ability to have taste. Even just within the book, it's a very nice copy of Dune and you get art in there as well. What a deal to celebrate an edition of Dune that is absolutely worthy of the legacy. And then we have the dishonorable mention, and it breaks my heart to say it, but it is the 30th anniversary edition of The Eye of the World. If you like this glossier, more minimal cover, great, that's wonderful, that's fine. But for me, I'm not a fan of it, and you really get no special features within. It's just a regular copy of Eye of the World. And last time I checked, it's more expensive than this Dune one. It was, but it no longer is. Where they did put a lot more into it. There's no new art, there's nothing, just a minimal Eye of the World that to me isn't particularly awesome looking on the shelf. So this gets the only no. What we're going to start off with here, though, for special editions is going to be the absolutely insanely good deal you can get for the hardbacks of Discworld. They are pretty small books, but still, for these very well done original art Discworld Emporium editions, they're amazingly affordable and they look sensational on a shelf. The color palette is distinct, yet all within a wheelhouse that feels cohesive. So each book has its own color appeal while still feeling like it's a part of the series, something that I very, very much so enjoy. I have found no inconsistencies with the printings or fonts or labeling of the author. It feels like I shouldn't have to say that, but the expanse is right here. Why in the world did you go from having the title of the book be the big one to the author name? I literally, like, I love the art on the Expanse books. I think they're great, but this random change on the spine to the author name being the bigger thing, I've lost sleep over it. Sorry, back on topic. They're very reasonably priced, great hardbacks for Discworld. That's the message you should take away, not the other thing I got into. But let's go ahead and just finish off Discworld real quick with these two other special editions that I have received. One is Guards from Discworld Emporium, and if you like purple, this deep purple with a gorgeous cover of a dragon, followed with a pretty standard internal but quite well done printing of Guards is worth it, though I believe this one's a bit more on the high end price-wise. And then finally, one of the big boys of printing special editions, you have the Folio Society's printings, and this Small Gods is felt, which I have not owned a felt book before. I don't really know how it feels as a reading experience, but if you like luxury, I guess it buys into that. There's also a lot of internal great art, though the price on this bad boy is high. You can see the felt outside being something that really makes or breaks it for someone, though I guess it's good for ASMR. And it comes with a box with a turtle on it. For me though, I like a reading experience thing for a book you're gonna have on a shelf is important, obviously, but it's going to spend more time just looking good on your shelf than you are going to spend actually reading it. Like, you know, because you're gonna finish and then it's gonna spend years up there. So in terms of the spine appeal, I think these both look pretty solid. Now, I'm not going to pull them down because it would be quite the chore. Instead, I'll just have shots of them up, and that's going to be the Juniper edition of the Wheel of Time series. I recommend it to any mega fan, but to anyone else, it probably doesn't make sense. Although, if you already have your own hardback collection, then yeah, you can buy them for a much more reasonable price and swap them out, and it becomes a much more easy yes decision to make, especially because the normal Wheel of Time spines, while they're fine, they don't particularly pop out exceptionally well, and this one, by God, is the most eye-catching thing in my entire library. But if you don't have the hardbacks, the price just hits a point where even to mega fans, I cannot really say it's justified unless it's going to be like a once-in-a-year gift to yourself. I love it. I think it's absolutely sensational on my shelf. It's something people are constantly commenting on, but even with that, the price value is just... But Juniper's then going to come through with 2 sets that I think are easy yes buys for even just regular fans of the series. I am quite partial to oranges and blues, basically my favorite color combination. And we have His Dark Materials and Red Rising. The faces of the His Dark Materials books are also quite nice. The Red Rising ones have grown on me. It's a more minimal depiction of Mars, but the spines just... they look so good. Even for just being 3 books, both of these sets get comments from people who come into my office all the time. And I think if I had to choose between, I actually would go Red Rising. This, I don't know if I can do this justice on camera. I'll try to with pictures right now, but it is just so... just catching the vibe of Red Rising while also having something that feels truly special about it. This is, I think, maybe Juniper's best work for a sci-fi book. And again, the His Dark Materials, if you're a fan of these as well, having that golden compass on there. I've actually had people not even read the His Dark Materials because honestly the font of that's a little hard to read, but they identify the golden compass and they go, oh my God, I've read those too. I love them, but not these editions. A weird amount of people have actually bought the His Dark Materials books after seeing them on my shelf, but I would buy the Red Rising ones because I think they are very nice. Not that I need to, they were sent to me. My job's cool. I am going to say, though, it is almost a deal breaker for this font on the His Dark Materials one. It's so stylized, it becomes kind of just meh. So that's just a little nitpick. Okay, let's address the elephant in the room, the Cosmere Leatherbound editions. These were all sent to me, I believe, except for Warbreaker, which is sent to me by a fan, by Sanderson's team. They are absolutely stunning. They are expensive, but they're so filled with the passion from Sanderson and his team that even though they are maybe the most expensive individual books on my shelf, if you are inclined to get them, I would not push you away from that endeavor because the art, the presentation, the layout of even just the text within, the way they look on your shelf, everything here is delivered. If I actually was going to rate things scale of 1 to 10, especially the Mistborn and Stormlight Archive Way of Kings editions, 10 out of 10. I could not ask for more within a leatherbound edition of a book. It's just going to come down to, are you a big enough Sanderson fan, and is leatherbound editions your thing? If you answer both of those yes, and you have the budget, there's really not anything here that's not worth the value. Videos here if you want to see a more in-depth look. All right, let's talk about Orbit books, because Orbit for me has just done a really incredible job of having covers that reflect the material within, definitely stay consistent within the series, and also kind of have an Orbit look to them. Like, I'm almost tempted to have an Orbit section now on my shelves because of how good a job Orbit has done in having a certain look. And maybe I hope these books that I'm about to hold up will show you what I'm talking about. So we have Evan Winter's Rage of Dragons, which for me is a must-show face. I think the spine is fine, but I really dig the slight flame accents, the font choice, the cultural display, really the amount of story that is packed into this cover for me means this one is pretty much forever and always going to go like that. And then we have Joe Abercrombie's A Little Hatred, which really everything they've done for editions in the Age of Madness has been very cohesive, very nice looking. It's got that really buying into the white background with a more minimal art trend, and I think it all comes together quite nicely, though I like the spine enough where it has that dash of red, which if you read Abercrombie, that's just filling in a vibe that, yes! It comes together well enough that I think really everything they're doing for the Age of Madness is actually going to fall into that really must have on a shelf for anyone who's an Abercrombie fan. If you've stuck to the audiobooks, these bad boys are going to be worth it. Actually, yeah, just now, I think I like the way the spine looks more, and with the fact that I'm going to have 2 more books there soon, yeah, I gotta go with let's put its spine out. I'm actually going to change it up there. And then we have Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne, which is, again, a book that just kills it in presentation. This dragon coming down looks so magnificent. This one, actually, to me, is a must-have face out because the spine... Actually, okay, this is a review copy sent to me, so I don't know if they changed it for the actual release. But I don't like, for me, how this is just kind of blank, and I need to have the face showing, especially with how impressive that dragon looks. So I'm actually changing my shelf right now, forever, always. Fit, God, no! It doesn't fit. I'll figure something better out there later. All right, you know what? I'm actually gonna get into this real quick. The Expanse books might be the biggest I can't believe I have to say no of anything on my shelf. Because the fact that it forever, I guess now, is going to go, instead of being the title of the book, smaller author name, bigger author name, smaller title, it just throws it so wildly that I went from absolutely adoring these. I think I once criticized them. I don't stand by it. I really do love the art. To now I hate that on my shelf there's this inconsistency. It drives me absolutely crazy. Why? Dude. All right, now it's getting weird. I just checked online. It looks like some editions are having the author name print bigger and others are not. So it's on you to try and find it to be consistent on your shelf. Here's the extra fun part. Most listings don't show the spine of the book. Go to the physical bookstore, I guess, to make sure you don't end up with it being title, author name, random jagababor. Oh my God. If I ever interview the authors, I'm gonna bring it up. We also then have The Poppy War, which actually I think are really nice with their white minimal appeal on cover and spine. You could go either way. These definitely get a recommendation from me for art style, composition. Really, they are some of the overall best covers looking on a shelf, in my opinion, someone who likes that more minimal appeal. One nitpick that, again, this is falling into the Expanse, I'm not sure if it's just my editions or what. The white of The Poppy War does not match the white of the other two by like the slightest little can you see the slight difference? I don't know, because my camera is not perfectly color accurate, and then, you know, YouTube's gonna do its compression, so maybe you can't tell, but in person, ever so slightly different. So just let me know in the comments down below if yours have the same problem, but overall, still a very high positive recommendation for these books. I really love them. I also want to say Pauline's To Sleep in a Sea of Stars and Inheritance Cycle look really nice on the shelf. I like a consistent color palette, and that was very much so accomplished with the Inheritance Cycle. And To Sleep in a Sea of Stars just has one of the most beautiful covers. I raved about it all last year. I'm such a fan. So having that spine actually convey the full cover very nicely, those also get a high recommendation from me. I really wish I could highly recommend the Dresden books, but with only the last couple I've seen have really nice spines or covers, I love the books, but I'm not going to highly recommend, like, you have to go spend the money to go collect the physical books, when in reality, like, the audiobook performance enhances this experience of the series, and I don't necessarily say you have to have the full Dresden collection. I think it's fine to just go with the audiobooks because the covers and the whole collection here don't do much for me. That's why I've had to, like, add decoration around it with the skull, because I feel like otherwise it would just be this black void. I actually had to avoid that by having the last book with that purple cover be out, because if you have nothing but the spines, it just becomes this. I know I'm going to be getting some people who are saying, are you not pulling out any Tolkien? I actually don't love the way any of my Tolkien looks on the shelf, and I'll show you why. So here are the Lord of the Rings that I actually have on the shelf, and what you have here is the actual spines, which is this kind of beige color, and then you have a standard printing of the art, and on the back, a nice dragon with some decent art. But this doesn't look super impressive. The only other editions I have of Lord of the Rings are the kind of the standard ones you find in Barnes & Noble, which I'm not a huge fan of because they don't match the tone of what I have going on with the rest of my Tolkien shelf, which is kind of becoming a bit of a mishmash. I can't really say they're my absolute favorites, and instead I'm really excited to get that new edition of Lord of the Rings that's coming out, and you can wait for the review here on the channel, hopefully pretty soon when I do get that, when it's released later this year. I also have some really great editions of Dark Tower that were gifted me by a friend of the channel, Josh Boone. Definitely worth the investment. These ones look great. I'll have more pictures coming up on the screen, though I just know there's not a ton of Dark Tower fans in my audience. Every time I post Dark Tower videos, so many people want to let me know how much they didn't like those books. I like them. Fight me. And then finally, we have just the colorful bunch. I know a lot of people, especially content creators and booktubers, really want to get something that's going to off the shelf and have that nice kind of highlight effect for the backdrop. I also quickly want to give a shout out to just Nicholas Ames's covers for Kings of the Wild as well. They are just so well composed and reflective of the tone internally, and they display the characters so wonderfully and with such personality. Great covers. But if you are specifically trying to target spines, Kings of the Wild, Colors of Magic, Juniper Harry Potter set, these just add a lot for my background in terms of just having colorful highlights, and especially if you want to do like just a shelf behind you that's going to grab eyes, this will do it. Of course, the Hufflepuff will fall. This is just a grab bag of houses. You can also do solid colors from Juniper as well. They come with those nice, strong Juniper box sets, and these are just regular editions of these series here. And of course, many of the other ones I talked about that have colorful spines kind of fall into that as well, with like Red Rising and the His Dark Materials from Juniper. I would say The Expanse as well, but it's still in a timeout. You are in timeout. I'm very afraid that as soon as I stop recording, I'll remember one and my audience will point it out in the comments, like, how could you not mention that? And guys, there's a lot of books. I can't remember them all, please. But those are the ones that in general, when I walk in the room, they catch my eye the most. They look awesome. They're filled internally and externally with just wonderful art. And yeah, those are the ones I recommend. Let me know in the comments down below, what books are you most just psyched to have on your shelf? I'll probably put out a post on Twitter asking you to send me photos of your shelf, how you've made it look so good, and like and subscribe if you have not already. Hit the Patreon if you want to support what I do here. Have a good one, y'all. Peace.